little bit of water right there, but I want to shoot something looking that way. Okay, I'm gonna use the camera bag as a tripod. Does that seem stable? Stuff I'll do to risk the opening shot. Okay, there we go. Hey, that works. That looks pretty good. I can get by with that. Kickstart the video with a question. Why did you ever pick up a camera in the first place? I will answer while you think about it. The main reason that I gravitated towards photography is that I was always inspired by travel photography and especially like travel shows. And for me, I always just wanted the camera to be the vehicle so that I could actually go out and experience adventure and experience life. And ultimately, I ended up using the camera to find out more about who I was and figuring out like, well, what do I point a camera at? Those are the things that I like. Those are the things I gravitate towards. And the camera actually became a vehicle for self-discovery. We are kickstarting the year in Vancouver with our second adventure. I'm here with Matt, and we're actually gonna be trying out a new camera. We're trying out the OM Systems OM-3. And through the research of the camera, I found out what their like mantra is, their like philosophy. It's called Kacho Fugetsu. Am I saying that right?
Kacho.
Oh, I'm not saying it right. It's Kacho Fugetsu. Okay. All right, Matt. What is Kacho Fugetsu?
So it's essentially a philosophy from like the 6th century, and it's supposed to encapsulate the idea of self-discovery found throughout the natural world. So nature, or being out in the being in the great outdoors. I'm tired. My hands are cold, which is exactly what it means to be out in the natural world where it's cold.
And so through the testing of this camera, we'll learn a little bit about ourselves, share what we've learned about the camera, and also just have a great adventure, because that's why it started for me in the first place. So, welcome to Vancouver. Let's go play with some cameras.
Good morning, everyone. Chris and I are out bright and early here in Vancouver, and we're gonna see how this camera does for street photography. I think it's actually gonna work pretty well. Classic form factor, feels like an analog film camera. I'm shooting with their 25mm. Probably gonna try to shoot this whole thing at 1.8. Street photography isn't just about taking photos of people, unassuming people. It's about everything. Vespa, right over there. With this weather, I'm honestly thinking of Saul Leiter. A lot of Saul Leiter's work, it felt like it was shot at a shallow aperture. It felt like he was looking for color, even in the bleakest moments, like snow and gray. And he found vibrancy.
Or this woman with the red umbrella. Let's try to see if we can get the shot. Okay, she's moving a little bit. All right, pretty good. Okay, so I totally understand why there's such a rise in popularity in cameras like this, where you have color profiles built into the camera, is that you're getting closer to a final result in camera. You don't have to rely on being like, oh, in post, this is gonna look good. A lot of the times when I'm shooting with the cameras now, because I'm shooting mostly for video, I'm using a log profile with a Rec 709, and it's not always the most inspiring image in camera, but these already look good in camera, which inspires you to shoot more in the moment, gets you excited when you are shooting, but also means that you can go right from this to posting and just get it out into the world faster. And I think I understand why this system and this style has just risen in popularity in the last year or two.
So some people like this, some people don't. Corners of car photos. You know what I'm talking about. There's no better car than something that's sharp and angular to be able to take the picture of its corner. What I'm really loving is this creative dial on the front. I thought it would kind of be in a weird place, but I think it's based off of the old design where it was going to be that zzz timer, and now they've replaced it with a zzz creative dial. They've got 4 color profiles and 4 monochrome profiles. And then what I'm really digging is the art mode. And art actually has, you know, pinhole and cross-process colors. But what I'm really liking is their grainy film too. And so that's actually giving like a stark contrast of black and white. Your highlights are very flat, but very bright. And what's really cool is that you can adjust your grain. You can actually add on this really interesting kind of like a white border with a black border, and it really allows me to feel like I'm looking at a finished product right after taking it. I was just telling Chris, this showcases Kacho Fugetsu perfectly. I mean, that marriage between nature and city, concrete. I mean, we get to capture this on a nice morning, grabbing coffee, and see how well Vancouver specifically blends both together. We also just got a beautiful photo of a cute little dog. When you kind of first had your hands on the camera, any kind of like fun new things that you've seen that you probably haven't before? And you were telling me that there was like a GND in there?
Yeah, so this is one of the first times I've ever seen this in a camera where there's a graduated ND, similar to those filters that you would see where you kind of put in a plate in the front, it's kind of darker at the top and then gradually goes down, or similar to like in post-production in Lightroom where you would have that like graduated filter. They literally have that you can do in camera. And we're gonna go test that out at Shannon Falls, just outside of Squamish here in BC. Oh my God, these views. Yeah, like even if we just cut to these photos that we're seeing right now, you can tell like the greens and the blues, they feel good. They don't feel overly saturated. It seems true to color, but it also does seem like a stylized look. Kind of ideal scenario to test this out, but basically we have like white out-ish conditions where the sky is just completely blown out, but there are details in the trees that we can capture. I think we can test the gradient filter on this perfectly here. So we're gonna go to Shannon Falls, 10-15 minute hike in, so let's go. And I wanted to show you something because for a wide angle lens, you actually can get quite a lot of detail. You know, we're close focusing of almost like 4 inches or so. And if we look at this shot, it's quite detailed. Like we can zoom in and you can actually see the snow sitting on the edge of those acorns, and it's detailed. It looks stunning. So this is actually my like 3rd time to this waterfall, but it's Matt's first time, and I want to film his like authentic first reaction. I know you're on camera, but this is such a spectacular waterfall that I want to see kind of like how you react to it, because it's just around the corner. It's actually peeking through the trees right now. It looks epic.
I can hear it. Oh my gosh. Wow, that's gorgeous.
Graduated ND time. So you just go into the menu system, you can actually just turn it on, very simple. You have a couple of GND numbers, so you have like 1 stop of exposure, 2 stops of exposure, 3 stops of exposure. The easiest way is that you can control where it lands on the image literally just by pressing up and down. You can even rotate it to really dial in the angle of the exposure that you want with the graduated ND. So why don't we try a couple of shots here. I shot these all handheld, by the way. So this is with it off. That's a nice image. This is with 1 stop of the gradient soft. Looks pretty good, but where I think it really worked, and this is more of a taste in my personal opinion, is when you had 2 stops of ND. Really brought attention to the waterfall itself. It's a bit dramatic. It's fully in line with what I like. We're gonna keep moving on to our next location, but I wanna talk about this button right there. That CP button stands for computational photography. To explain computational photography a little bit more and why I think this is kind of beneficial is basically you have the option for high resolution mode, live NDs. You got the graduated ND, HDR modes, and a few other modes. But what I think is gonna be super powerful here is the high resolution mode. So normally this is a 20 megapixel camera. We take the photo, nice photo, but maybe I wanna crop in on it. Maybe I wish I had a longer lens. That's where, press the CP button, and we're gonna turn that into a 50 megapixel photo handheld. So like that, takes a little bit longer. We got 14 bits of color in there. And now with the cropping in that 50 megapixels, you can get even further. But you can take that another step further in the menu system. If you put this on a tripod, which we're gonna do, you can turn that into an 80 megapixel camera. This means less gear, more options for photos, and having more fun. Let's throw this on the tripod while we're setting up here and get that 80 megapixel photo for you. Key part to any adventure, coffee. Coffee. What are the parameters to look out for when selecting a coffee shop when you're traveling?
Honestly, for me, it's the grinder.
So I pay attention to 2 espresso machines, and if they have a La Marzocco or a Slayer, I go, they probably have decent coffee.
My nickname for a while was Cut Daddy or Cortado Poppy.
Cortado Poppy. Yo, that's your new name on the channel forever. I'm sorry, that's it.
2 Cortados.
And you see, look at those. I'm gonna decide on birthday cake. Dude, you nailed that. One of the things I always think is like awesome about anytime you're rocking a camera like across your chest is that people start to go, ooh, what's that? Like, what are you shooting with? Ben, who's on the Slayer machine right there, who crushed it at the coffee, literally started to talk to us because he noticed the camera. You know, Ben looks closer to my age, but I have these experiences with people who are like in their 60s, even in their 80s, who've been shooting for years, that are just excited and passionate about photography. It's helping me to build community and have even more meaningful travel experiences. And that's priceless to me personally. Little postscript on that for anyone that is interested. The birthday cake donut review. It's February, but all of a sudden, it's April 8th now. It's my birthday. Don't talk with your mouth full. Look.
This crushes it. Honestly, the mono settings are nice, but this in like their art mode and they're like the screen, being able to zoom in and like just see it, like it's solid. It's so nice.
Get in. We're going shooting. A friend of ours sent us a pin location. It literally just was called Epic Mountain Background. Not joking, it literally says that. Epic Mountain Backdrop. I thought that was like the official name on Google. No, that's just the name of their pin. And it is delivering right now. We're gonna end on a little photo shoot with the OM-3, as well as some video clips shot on this camera. Well, we kind of just reflect on this trip and the last 3 days and also just why we picked up a camera in the first place. So I really want to hear from you, please. Why did you pick up a camera? If you are a photographer, please drop a comment below. But I want to ask Matthew, who's been on this trip with us as well. Matt, why did you ever pick up a camera?
I mean, I think I picked up a camera first and foremost to connect with people. I mean, I used to go to these parties and there were cameras all over the tables, kitchen counters. They just wanted them to be at the ready so you could just capture. And again, this was during Facebook when, you know, Facebook albums were just like perfect.
Did we just date ourselves? You're like, oh, we're so
a little bit.
Just a bit.
Well, you know, the modern day Instagram photo dump. Okay, now I feel younger. I wanted to kind of like fit in with that and share my experience of the parties. Used it for self-discovery. I went on long walks during the winter, and I actually saw a taxi driver helping an elderly lady that they just driven up their stairs, and it was just such a kind moment that I went up and I was like, excuse me, I mean, I have a camera, could I take your portrait? And to this day, it's still one of my favorite photos. And after that, I started an entire series where I just took photos of strangers and asked them a little bit about themselves and tied it to a word. And for me, that was an outlet for me to communicate with people and get to know people.
I think if I didn't have a camera, one, I wouldn't even have my career. But for me, the camera actually was the catalyst to start going out into the world. My life is more enriched and better because of it. So for that, I am so grateful for the camera. I'm grateful for brands like OM System and the launch of their new camera to go and like check things out and have these experiences. So if you want to learn more about that camera, it is released officially as of today. I'm sure there's a ton of reviews. I highly recommend that you go and check them out. I'll probably put a few of my favorites in the description below. And we're actually going to be connecting up with Matty Hapoya. We're heading over to Whistler to do some snowboarding and some skiing. So if you want to follow on that adventure, links to my Instagram below. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and we will catch you guys in the next one. Kacho Fugetsu.
Got it.
Yeah!